Bleddyn Williams, the man that put his love of rugby and amateur camaraderie above financial gain. Hey guys, first of all, can I just say thank you guys so much for all the comments, discussions in my recent rugby videos. There's been quite a lot of them because you guys have wanted it. It's been a real eye-opener. I've learnt a lot and I'm really trying to get into the sport of rugby. Now, I had a really interesting email the other day from this guy's grandson. His name's Rhys and he wanted to tell me a little bit more about his granddad. Now, Bleddyn Williams, he was a rugby player, and the first thing he told me was back in 1947, he was offered £6,000. Now, today's money, that's just over £230,000, so a lot of money. He was offered that money to go professional. However, he turned that money down because he loved rugby so much, the sportsmanship in it, and also the amateur camaraderie. I think that's incredible thing. I know it was back a long time ago, but that just epitomises what I'm seeing from rugby at the moment. Now, Rhys does assure me that the Wikipedia page for his granddad is more or less accurate. There is one thing that's not correct, but I'll tell you that in a second. Now, on here, there's a fantastic story of when Bleddyn was in Operation Varsity. He was flying his glider into Germany over the River Rhine. And his commanding officer said, hang on, let me look and I will quote. This is brilliant. "Williams, aren't you meant to be at Welford Road tomorrow playing the Great Britain against Dominions? They need you. Go now." So, Bleddyn caught the last supply plane back. Now, Rhys told me how his granddad, the one thing he said was how strange it was that he was flying back and he saw all the other men flying back out to the war. So they were going in opposite directions. I'm sure there was some real team camaraderie there for his fellow soldiers, but how amazing is that? Being out at war, flying a glider over Germany, and then being called back to play rugby the next day. I was told on good authority that the thing that was wrong on the Wikipedia page is it says that he lost the rugby match when he got back. Actually, apparently he did win it. Now, Bleddyn Williams, he suffered injuries and ended up retiring in 1955 at the age of 32. But he loved the sport so much, he became a commentator and also a correspondent for the Sunday People. Now, that's someone that loves the game. You want to carry on in the sport. So he found whatever he could do to stay a part of it. And that shows, especially back then, the respect for the sport he had. Bleddyn was so highly thought of by his peers that in 2005 he even received an MBE. There is an obituary on the Independent website and I just want to read one of his quotes because it's quite meaningful and poignant in today's age. "I count my blessings that I played the game when I did. When you played rugby for the love of the game and the immense pride of representing your club and country. That was reward enough for us. But now chasing the dollar, pound or euro seems to be the king and the game is poorer for it." Just let that sink in. This was a man who loved the sport and realised almost what was coming. He knew that money was changing the game and not for the better. Another fantastic quote. "My wife Violet and I only recently married." Now this was when he was out at war and was called back to play against Dominion. "She thought I'd been killed when she was told only 2 of the glider pilots on that mission had survived." but we made it to Leicester by lunchtime. I scored a try and Great Britain won the match. How fantastic's that? How fantastic's that? Now, this man was truly loved by his peers and respected. Cliff Morgan, a former teammate and a close friend, said, "Those of us who were fortunate enough to play with him will always say Bleddyn was a true rugby man, for he taught us the old-fashioned principles of courtesy and courage." Just, it's such heartwarming words, really, isn't it? It really is. And we need more of it today in all sports. That's rugby, football, and all the other sports altogether. We need more of this type of attitude and belief. Bleddyn Williams also had the unique distinction of captaining his club, Cardiff, and his country, Wales, to beating the All Blacks in 1953 when they toured. How cool is that? So, after playing for his clubs, his country, Wales, and the British Lions, and then having a career in the sport he loved, Bleddyn sadly died in 2009. Now, these are the sort of people that are so inspirational and we need to be remembering, because they show us all why we get into sports. We get into sports not for the money. We get into it for the love of the game. Now, whether that's rugby, football, hockey, tennis, we do it because we love it. Now, all I would say, have a look at Bleddyn's obituary and his Wikipedia page. Maybe, if there's a different sport you love, find out about these characters of the past. You might learn something. Anyway, Rhys, thank you so much for sharing the story. I wouldn't have known otherwise. If you enjoyed the video, please remember, like, share, subscribe, and I will see you next time.